Please join me in Gasho. Naman Nobs, Naman Nobs, Naman Nobs, Naman Nobs. Can you all hear me on Zoom? Yes? Okay, good. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our regular Sunday service for November the 10th. And it's nice to see you here this morning, as well as we have quite a few people on Zoom as well. So welcome to them as well. Okay, so this morning's service will begin with a moment of silent meditation, followed by the recitation of the name of the Buddha or the Nembutsu. Please join me in Gasho. Naman Nobs, Naman Nobs, Naman Nobs, Naman Nobs, Naman Nobs. Next, we're going to be reading the Homage and Three Treasures. We're actually using the old Seiten, the purple one, and it's on page 11 of your purple Seiten. It's also on the screen as well. When we get to the Three Treasures, I'll read it once and then you can repeat after me, okay? Homage and Three Treasures. Hard it is to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult it is to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we are hearing them. If we do not gain emancipation in the present life, we may not be free from sorrow in the ocean of births and deaths. Let us reverently take refuge in the Three Treasures. We go to the Buddha for guidance. May we always walk in the way that leads to enlightenment. Everyone? We go to the Buddha for guidance. May we always walk in the way that leads to enlightenment. We go to the Dharma for guidance. May we be submerged in the depth of the teachings and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. Everyone? We go to the Dharma for guidance. May we be submerged in the depth of the teachings and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. We go to the Sangha for guidance. May we all with one accord live the life of harmony in the spirit of oneness, free from the bondage of selfishness. Everyone? We go to the Sangha for guidance. May we all with one accord live the life of harmony in the spirit of oneness, free from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriads of kalpas, hard it is to hear such excellent and profound teachings. Now we are able to hear and receive them. Let us try to understand the Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. This morning, we will be chanting the Junirai, which you'll find on page 63 of your purple seiken. Following that, we'll be reading the English translation. No man nobs, no man nobs, no man nobs, no man nobs.
시 갱겐진
Please join me as we read the English translation, and you'll find that on page 70 of your purple Seiten. The 12 Adorations, Junirai translation. Before Amida Buddha, whom heavenly beings worship, I humble myself in deepest reverence. In his wondrous land of bliss, surrounded is he by countless bodhisattvas. His golden form shines forth, pure like the king of Mount Sumeru. His practice of truth is steadfast like an elephant's pace. His eyes radiate like pure blue lotus blossoms. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. His countenance is perfectly pure and round like the full moon. His majestic light shines like 1,000 suns and moons. His voice is like a heavenly drum, yet like a heavenly bird kokila. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. Avalokiteshvara wears upon his crown the image of Amida adorned with many precious jewels. He subdues the arrogance of the demons and heretics. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. Incomparable, vast, and pure his virtues are, clearly extending like vast open space, his acts freely benefiting all. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. In the golden treasure pond where the lotus flowers bloom, established with goodness is a wondrous throne, where reigns the Buddha like the king of the mounts. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. From the 10 quarters bodhisattvas come, revealing wondrous powers, they attain blissful state. Honoring his face, they offer eternal homage. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. All things are transient and without self, like the moon on water, lightning, shadow, or the dew. The Dharma cannot be expressed by words, the Buddha proclaimed. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. No words of evil are in his land, no fear of evildoers, nor evil paths. With sincere heart, all beings worship him. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. His land of infinite expediencies is without degenerate things or wicked beings. Upon rebirth, non-retrogressive bodhi does one attain. Thus I prostrate myself before Amida Buddha. Thus have I praised the virtues of Amida Buddha. Boundless are they like the water of the sea. Upon receiving this pure and good qualities, may all beings be reborn into his land. Namo Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Buddha. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our regular Sunday service, and I'd like to begin my talk with reading a passage from the teachings of Buddha. O bhikkhus, there are two extremes that should be avoided by a recluse. Indulgence in sensual pleasures. This is base, vulgar, worldly, ignoble, and profitless. An addiction to self-mortification. This is painful, ignoble, and profitless. Abandoning both these extremes, the Tathagata has comprehended the middle path, which promotes sight and knowledge and tends to peace, higher wisdom, enlightenment, and nirvana. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. So for today's Dharma talk, I'd like to begin by introducing an idea, a Buddhist idea or teaching, and it talks about wisdom, okay? And there are two types of wisdom according to Buddhism. One, which is known as vijnana, which is conventional wisdom or conventional thinking or consciousness. And the other is what we call prajna wisdom. And prajna wisdom is the Buddhist wisdom, okay? And how do we define these two? The conventional wisdom is a dualistic way of thinking, a dichotomous way of observing phenomena. Okay? So this is the conventional wisdom of right and wrong. This is right and this is wrong, right? Whereas the prajna wisdom is non-dualistic, where subject and object meld as one. It sounds a little complicated, but I think you'll get the gist of it when I give further examples. So as you know, over the course of this past week, last Tuesday, I'm sure many of you were riveted to your TVs as I was, watching the US elections, right? And I don't know about you, but I was personally feeling very blue about the whole thing as the evening progressed. I was supposed to be giving a lecture that evening, but I even canceled the lecture saying, I think, we should be watching this. And afterwards I was thinking, gee, I should have given my lecture. That would have probably been a lot better than watching what happened. But anyways, so, after the events of the evening, I started thinking, well, perhaps this could be a source of a Dharma message. Or perhaps, a better way of putting it is, perhaps I could use or apply the Buddhist Dharma, Buddhist teaching to what had transpired. And I realized it is exactly for things like what happened on Tuesday night that we do turn to the teachings to reflect, okay? So I started thinking about it, and I thought, well, how can I think of what happened on Tuesday night, the elections, from a Buddhist perspective? And I started thinking, well, let's go back to the very origin of Buddhism and with the Four Noble Truths. And of course, the first of the Four Noble Truths states that there is suffering in life, right? There is suffering in life. And when they take that first of the Four Noble Truths, the Buddha then expanded on that, and he said, there are four major sufferings, which we call sickness, old age, death, and birth. But he also talks about these other sufferings, auxiliary sufferings. One of them, he says, is having to part with loved ones. Another one is having, if the causes and conditions are there, having to be with somebody you dislike. And third, another one of these sufferings are the suffering of not getting what we want. Okay. So I began looking at those things, and I thought, well, these things are very applicable to the election, right? First of all, having to part with a loved one. Well, if you wanted to have, say, Kamala Harris elected, and she wasn't, so you're having to part with her, or that ideal, if you will. Having to, if the causes and conditions are there, to be with someone you dislike. Well, that fits quite, appropriately for those who didn't vote for Trump. You're stuck with him for 4 years, right, in the States, right? And then the suffering of not getting what we want, right? So many of those who voted for Democrats didn't get what they want, right? So these are all causes of suffering. But when you look at those causes of suffering, and according to the teachings, so by examining the cause of suffering, it says, we have to talk about our greed, anger, and ignorance. Ignorance, okay? And it's our ignorance that whatever we're looking at, we're using what we call our conventional wisdom, Vijnana wisdom, okay? Which is dichotomous, and it's usually self-centered. So the reason why I suffer is because I didn't get the way that I wanted. See, there's the word I in there, right? Or it didn't, according to my understanding, it went a bad way, good versus bad. But that good versus bad is according to my basis, okay? Because when you look at the reality of things, over 50% of the population of US voted for Donald Trump, which means, according to them, their good won out versus the bad, right? So this is the conventional wisdom that says that. So when we begin to think about it, the other thing, after the election, I don't know if you had this reaction, but I certainly did. After seeing all that happen, I thought, thank goodness I live in Canada. Did you have that kind of reaction? Yeah? That's also conventional wisdom, okay? It's my self-centered thinking. Thinking, I'm glad this didn't happen here where I have to deal with it. It's somebody else's problem, okay? That's conventional wisdom. But the Buddhist wisdom transcends that. And when we look at the life of, going back to the founder of our Jodo Shinshu teachings, Shinran Shonin, for 20 years, he practiced on a mountain called Mount Hiei as a monk from the age of 9 to 29. And what he was trying to do was attain or awaken to enlightenment using conventional wisdom. Okay? Through his practices, he thought, if I perfect my practices, I can get rid of the ego. If I perfect these practices, I can attain the purity of this enlightenment. But the more he practiced, the more he realized the ego was at the base of his being. And this is when he finally let go, and he actually left the mountain at the age of 29 in search for a path that was accepting, forgiving, and transcending. And this is where he encountered the teachings of Amida Buddha, okay? The Buddha of infinite wisdom and boundless compassion. And this is the Buddha that said or recognized that we are limited in our being. But in that limited being, we are accepted as we are. This is not to say you can do whatever you want and don't worry about it, but it's to really, when we really self-reflect within ourselves, we do see our own faults. And then at the same time, this Buddha says, as you are accepted. And then we begin to gain a sense of humbleness, a sense of gratitude, and we realize perhaps there's another way of viewing things. Perhaps there's another way of viewing life, not on this basis of good versus bad, but realizing that even within myself, I have both these traits. And then perhaps we begin to see, even if things don't go the way that we wish for it to go, that we can begin to think a little bit in a broader sense. Why is it that there is this other view that exists, right? Not just to condemn it, but to think, why is this? When we think about the elections in the States, you know, not all the people that voted for Trump were gun-toting, redneck, right-wingists. You know, there are doctors, there are lawyers, there are teachers, there are Buddhists, there are Japanese Americans that voted for Trump as well, right? So you have to realize that it's not just one thing that we can stereotype. And we begin to realize, well, maybe I have to look at the world in a different way. You know, when the terrorist 9/11 happened, it was so easy to condemn one side. But from a Buddhist wisdom perspective, I remember giving a talk after 9/11 saying, where did that hatred come from? This was not just a road rage event. The people at 9/11 had to plan months, if not years ahead of time to do that terrible. It's not to condemn the action, but you have to begin to think, where does that hatred come from? Okay. So in a similar sense, when we begin to think of the election as well, beginning to see within myself, you know, how does this apply to me? How am I affected by this? And yet, how am I reacting to this? And this is where it comes to a very key element of the Buddhist teachings. Exterior stimuli can affect who we are, but our reaction to that stimuli is what is important. So exterior events can affect who we are, but it's how we react to that that is important. And so the Buddhist wisdom, which is more all-encompassing, states that, well, perhaps I shouldn't just be saying, this is right, this is wrong, but thinking of it in a different light. What are these different views that exist? How do I deal with it within myself? And so when we begin thinking in this way, perhaps it eases a little bit the anguish that we might feel, the anxieties that we might feel. And I think for myself, it was an interesting exercise to process what had gone on the election night. And in the end, though, I still felt frustrated and anguished. But that's also part of who I am. And realizing that there is a teaching that says, even with all those warts, I am accepted as I am. And that is the teachings of Amida Buddha. And so as a way of us receiving this teaching and appreciating, we put our hands together in gratitude and reflection, and we recite the name of the Buddha, Namo Amida Butsu. So again, if I can ask you, please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo. Thank you very much. This will conclude our regular Sunday morning service. Actually, we'll close with the singing of Ondok-san, which you'll find on page 307 of your text. So for those who are here, if you could stand. And I'm just going to share. So for those of you who are joining by Zoom, it should be on your screen. Thank you very much. Please be seated. And thank you for joining us for our regular Sunday service. This will conclude this morning's service. Coming events. Tomorrow, actually, there will be a Remembrance Day event at Wisteria Place, which is open to the public. It'll start at 10:30 for anyone interested in joining Remembrance Day event. There is also events going on at the Richmond City Center in front of the Cenotaph, as well as at Stanley Park. There's the Japanese-Canadian War Memorial Cenotaph. And they actually have quite a large Remembrance Day celebration there. It's actually quite impressive. I've attended a number of years before Wisteria Place opened. Once Wisteria Place opened, I became sort of the de facto MC for Remembrance Day services here, so I haven't been able to go to Stanley Park. But that's also really, I think, a worthwhile event to attend if you haven't done so before. And then coming up, November is pretty quiet after this. We do have our movie night. When was that? 2 Wednesdays from now, I think. I don't think it was this Wednesday. Yeah, I think so. A fun little movie that we'll be showing called entitled Ramen Girl. Ramen Girl. So you're more than welcome to join us. We have a nice large screen now, and that gets put up. And yeah, so please join us for that. And then in December, we have a number of events. We were originally going to have our year-end Bonenkai party on December the 8th, but our caterers didn't work out as planned, so we actually pushed it back 1 week to the 15th. Okay, so our year-end Bonenkai will be on the 15th. We will be holding the Bodhi Day service at the same time. We have quite the entertainment planned for you, so please, if you're able to join us, come and join us for that. On the 8th of December, so because of the change in scheduling, we will be doing our annual year-end temple cleanup. So on that day, there won't be a Sunday service, but we'll be starting from 9 a.m. cleaning the temple. We didn't get the chance to clean it in June because we were actually doing some major painting and installing new windows at that time. So if all possible, if you're available on the 8th, starting at 9 a.m., we will be doing temple cleanup, and we would appreciate all the help that we can get. So the 8th is a cleanup, and then on the 15th, we have the Bodhi Day, which is the acknowledgement of the enlightenment of the Buddha, and then following that, the year-end Bonenkai. And so, yeah, please join us for those events, okay? More information is on the newsletter. Yes? Oh, yes, thank you. Yes, so on the 23rd, is it? Yeah, 20, let's see, today is the 10th, the 17th, 24th, right? On the 24th of this month, we have, it's called the Eshini Day and Fujinkai Memorial Service. Eshini was the wife of Shinran Shoni, and she's very actually prominent within our Jodo Shinshu teachings. And so at the World Buddhist Women's Convention, I believe it was the second one, so that was like late 1960s or early 1970s, it was decided that temples throughout the world will honor Eshini once a year, and it usually happens in November. And so that Sunday is actually sponsored by the Fujinkai ladies, okay? But it is open to everybody to attend, so please do attend, okay? So that concludes all the notices, and thank you all for attending. And thank you to those who attended by Zoom as well.
Thank you, Sensei.
Thanks, Sensei.
Thank you. Oh, was that Ken?
Thank you, Sensei.
No, thank you, Sensei. This is Ken here.
Oh, yeah, and looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you for agreeing to join us. I appreciate that.
Okay, I'll be there with my high browns.
Thank you.
Okay, bye now.
Bye.
Hi, Browns.